Let's talk about background texture sampling and what that has to do with the calls. First of all, it applies to all the kinds of calls, whether we're calling out or whether customer support or even pre-quals. It depends. But background texture sampling is this. Let's say you call the pizza place to place your order for a pizza and it's taking your order. Large pizza, small, Brooklyn crust or what, thin, hand tossed, extra the tomato sauce or who knows what, hold the anchovies, right? All that kind of thing. The guy you're talking to might have the Brooklyn accent, right? But what do you always hear when you call the pizza place? Pizza Hut, Domino's, what do you always hear in the background? The background. You always hear pots and pans. You always hear people murmuring, talking to each other in the background, right? You hear the hum and bubub of everything happening back there behind the guy. That is background noise. So what is texture? It's, do you want a pizza place or a Chinese restaurant or a dental office or an insurance company? Do you want to kind of hear that the guy's sitting in his cubicle talking to you, but you can hear other people in other cubicles in the background, quiet, not interfering with the call, but there, background. And so background texture is incredibly and dramatically important to the call eventually, right? You can imagine the caller calling you and it's a perfectly clean conversation you're having, but it's just the voice, right? It's great. You're going to make your sales. Right? When you call the IVR switch and they're saying, press 1 for sales, 2 for support, whatever they're saying, it's totally fine. You do your job. You press 1, you press 2, you press 9, you press 0, But what is sampling? Sampling is that you get to get your own. So you will record some of your background. If you're a dental office, or if you're the pizza place. Why? Because it's yours. So then you send the recording in. You upload the recording to the call, the phone number, whether it's the outbound caller or the incoming customer support or the pre-qual, whatever background you're making, your sample. And so if we've got 50 phone numbers calling out or 100, whatever it is that we got to work with that's calling out, we'll upload those textures onto those calls. Okay? If we want a different kind of a texture for some other phone numbers, we'll upload that. We'll sample that and upload that. So either we'll use something that's kind of like a normal fade. It could be any pizza background. We could just select a dummy, select a generic one. Or if people come to us and we want it to match, we can sample our own background. Okay? What's the coolest thing about it? It doesn't just play on a loop. The sampling means it's going to AI generate that sound in the background. And it's going to go on and on and on for the duration of the call. And it's going to sound normal to anyone listening. It's going to sound like regular language when people speak, just murmuring. It's going to sound like the right kind of regular language when people speak murmuring. It'll be people in a kitchen at a pizza place or insurance guys just talking to other people on the phone, simple sentences that's the idea of sampling. You get to decide what those humans are saying. You get to decide whether any of the pots and pans clash to the floor during the middle of the conversation. Although you probably wouldn't. You're just going to upload background texture, or you're going to choose from a generic background texture. And so you get background texture. Can you imagine how much better that makes the calls? First thing that you would think when an AI calls versus a human is whether you hear anything in the background. The moment you start hearing murmuring and stuff in the background, you instantly figure the person you're talking to is alive. Even if you find out later that it's AI, which is harder to do now, you wouldn't assume it, especially as the calls get good and we refine the pitches. But even if you find out, it still feels natural, still feels comfortable. I'd rather call the AI guy at the front of the pizza place and hear the murmur in the background because it's going to make me all the hungrier. When I'm talking to the insurance place, I'd rather hear the murmur in the background of the people in the other cubicles, even if I know it's AI. Now, most people will not know that, and they will not really care. And they might even think it's an AI with a real background. But I did want to do this video to point it out. Background texture sampling is coming, so we can perfect that as we go.